Okay, hello everyone. Thank you very much for joining and welcome to our Coronation Cup Preview. 12 furlong race over the same course and distance as the Oaks and Derby run the same weekend. Unfortunately, it's a 7-runner field. We felt it had the makings and the potential for a fantastic each-way race with short price favourite and a likely 8-runner field. And in fact, we did tweet out earlier in the week to back each way now because it looks like it could potentially go to 7 runners and take advantage of the free place terms with Bet365. So please do follow us on X, where we're able to get that sort of information out a lot more easily and a lot quicker and in a lot more succinct format. But alas, we are here with the 7 horses and we are headed by Calandagan. He's currently best price 4 to 6, and I'm close to saying he's a bit of a good thing in this race. For me, he was the best 3-year-old last year. I'd have had him as a better horse in City of Troy. But unfortunately, you're measured on your wins, and he can often find ways to get beat with his style of running being held up. Do you think this is a bit of a penalty kick for Calandagan?
On the form book, it should be a penalty kick. You wouldn't normally think, with a horse's figures reading 2-2-2, that he's the overwhelming favourite and should just win. But when you realise that the 2s in question are City of Troy in the International at York, I think, which is one of the highest rated races in the world last year.
It was last year.
Absolutely amazing. Narrowly beaten by Anmat in the Champion Stakes when he probably should have won, and got going a bit late. Should probably have won the Shima Classic as well, which is a deep field. Those were proper Group 1s, much deeper than this. He's an easier waters. What's not to like? My kind of answer to that would be probably it's Epsom. And Epsom's a funny place. And I remember Dolnia coming over about a decade ago in the Aga Khan colours. I know that because I'd backed a horse called Flincher, who was second in a couple of arcs to Golden Horn and Trove, to beat Dolnia, and the pair of them were beaten by an 18-1 shot who had never looked like winning a Group 1 before and wouldn't do any time again. Petter's Moon for those of you who want the microscopic data, but shocks like that happen, and they happen at this track. I couldn't, in all conscience, good conscience, suggest people go 4 to 6 for a horse who has his quirks, who's trying a curious course he's never been to before. For all, he's overwhelmingly the most likely winner.
Yeah, and if you want to find an example of a horse with quirks, you look at Jan Breugel's first run out this year. And last year he looked difficult, but Ryan Moore had a grasp on him and how to manage him. But he looked like he'd fallen out of love with racing on his comeback this year. Admittedly, it was over a lot shorter trip than he'd be at his best at. But 3 lengths behind Galen, who I think is probably about a 105 horse, is a pretty terrible start to your campaign.
It is, but his 2 best races last year by some distance were the times he stepped up above 10 furlongs. So Goodwood, 12 furlongs, when he looked very, very awkward, and by far the best horse in the race, but just didn't sort of seem to engage with it slowly and reluctantly and greenly. And then again, when just taking the ledger, that drop back, I can forgive him that, even if he looked awkward again. But you're right, he's not the most straightforward horse. The interesting angle here, and another doubt, I suppose, relating to the doubts over Calandagan is I think Ballydoyle know, which is why Continous is running, that their best chance of beating Calandagan is to make this an absolute grueling test. So, and I think that's what we'll see Jan Breughel best. Let's see how it plays out. But absolutely fascinating to watch. For those, a lot of people backing this horse, a week or 2 ago, 3 place terms, a horse with, as you say, far more quirks than Calandagan, but as an each way 2 places, which is just a simple no, isn't it?
Yeah.
Given what Ballydoyle are going to try and do, and they, as it were, hold the ace in the sense that they're the only ones that have another horse to control tempo and things with, because Calandagan will be held up as well. If somebody wanted a win bet on Leanne Breughel to upset. I get that. I wouldn't back him myself. No, not to one.
Okay, so if Coolmore are looking to make this a complete staying contest, does that not perfectly suit Gioto?
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect for Gioto, who was coming down from a sort of career in the last sort of 10 runs, mainly as a distance horse, sort of 14, 16 furlongs to 2 miles. And then looked like a world beater in Hong Kong when dropped 12 furlongs, fast run 12 furlongs, and absolutely scythed through the pack at the end and won going away from a decent field, not a stellar field, but it was a decent field. But he looked like a proper Group 1 horse there. So as as you'll remember, we wrote an article about him on our website. Always, check that as well, the Anteposter.com, about how Gioto was an absolutely cracking bet at 3-place terms for this at 16 to 1 when it looked like it would cut up, but it has cut up, and that's a great price. But if you're coming to Gioto now, there are 2 big problems. One is, distressingly, 7 horses. The removal of Al Riffa by Joseph O'Brien gave us a 7-horse field with an odds-on favourite, and bookies will often, on a big marquee race, do 3-place terms on the 7 horses if it's the right shape. But an odds-on favourite, there's just no way they're going to go 3 places on this. So you're then looking at 2 places, plus there's rain in the air. It might turn softer than a Giovannotti's ideal conditions. He's not a bet. He's not a bet on 2-place terms.
Okay, yeah. I would be slightly less complimentary of the Hong Kong form than you are. Dubai Honour coming in second. Whilst he is obviously a G1 horse south of the equator, I don't know whether he necessarily...
South and north of the equator. The equator is Hong Kong, surely.
It probably is, yeah. It probably is, yeah. Yeah, well, if you're having to stretch that far to justify the argument, I think that answers itself. You Got To Me is the 4th horse in the market, 14 to 1. Looked on the cusp of being a G1 horse last year. So I don't know why I've started calling them G1s, a Group 1 horse. And she's clearly talented, but didn't run her best race in the Oaks over course and distance.
No. She was beaten, I mean, from memory, about a good 10 lengths by Azalea, wasn't she? And her improvement came that season, later in the season, in the Irish Oaks and the Yorkshire Oaks, when a length each way, she traded Group 1 victories with Content, the Ballydoyle filly, and those were her sort of peak form figures. So she didn't show those at Epsom. She didn't show them early in the season. She's first time out here. She's very weak in the market. I mean, she was a lot shorter only a day or 2 ago, but she'd probably have to drift even more for me to be interested. I don't see You Got To Me, although I respect Beckett with a filly with Group 1 winning form in the book is something not to sniff at. Yeah, not. I can't quite get there with You Got To Me.
No, likewise. Ancient Wisdom next in the market. He's been nibbled at in the last few days, 33s into 22s. That's probably as a result of the weather forecast, the potential for soft ground, and his sort of, I don't know, he's characterized as a bit of a stayer, Ancient Wisdom. 12 furlongs around Epsom. Do you think this has the makings of a good race set up for him?
I think this could set up for him very well, actually. And with the weather forecast and the rain they've already had, it's already on the soft side of good, as we talk Wednesday afternoon. And tomorrow is due to be probably a decent amount of rain. So, as I say, with the word S, I would have thought hugely likely to be in the going. That totally ticks Ancient Wisdom's box. I think they would have pulled him and these fast ground conditions had continued. When he's got soft in the ground and he's gone long, he's gone well apart from the big flop in last year's Derby. But I'll forgive a 3-year-old, an immature 3-year-old, a poor run. He's when he's got dig in the ground, he's shown the ability to put in a really good performance. So yeah, with the conditions, if I had to play one at the prices, and a bit reluctant to a 7, I'd probably play this guy in a without the favourite market, or possibly if you can still get these sort of 16-1 prices. Maybe I just have a little each way 2 places. I think Ancient Wisdom will outrun his odds, and potentially give you a run for your money. Not wholly reliable, but he's a big price for a horse.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And the next horse in the betting is Bellum Justum. You mentioned Jan Bruggel's Goodwood race last summer, and I think it was Bellum Justum that he ran to about a neck in second. That was on good firm ground, which seems to be very much his favoured ground. The rain will have to be a big concern for Andrew Balding and James Doyle, and 25 probably isn't attractive.
Yeah, I was really interested a few days ago if I was going to have another bet in this market, depending on decks, but waiting for the weather, because with 8 horses and rattling fast ground, Bellum Justum was of interest, because although he won his course and distance, not course and distance winner, sorry, he's a course winner, and although he flopped badly in the Derby, that City of Troy's Derby had cut underfoot. But this ground is going against him. And although he was good last time, it was a weakish Group 2 up at Newmarket, again, running quite fast ground. And now there are 2 places. I've gone right off him. Yeah,
I wonder if he will get pulled or whether they'll bother to run him or not. I'm sure there are better targets ahead. I mean, I know it's a very weak, or it's potentially a very weak Group 1, so they might be looking to take advantage of that, but...
Yeah, and I mean, there's prize money. As the other factor is this sort of prize money into how many places down. There's not a big field, so
yeah, good point. And you'd have to expect that the horse last in the betting, Continous, will not be competing for that prize money, as his sole purpose will presumably be as a pacemaker. As we've mentioned on multiple occasions, in written and in podcast form, that he has been campaigned incredibly bizarrely, and what was once an imperious-looking stare is now a fairly fragile-looking...
You don't you? The most disappointing horse in training.
Yeah.
But he's been relegated from even that status, because he no longer is. He's now just a pacemaker, which is even more humiliating than the most disappointing horse in training, probably.
Yeah.
It might be the classiest CV of any pacemaker ever. St. Leger winner. I don't know.
I know. It's it is huge. Well,
got a role to play.
Yeah. It's important. He's setting the race up for. I think there are arguably 3 other stayers in here that will benefit from him making the pace, and then also if there's a pacemaker, it makes for a fair race. So it's only going to help Calandagan too. So he does have a role to play, but he's not a betting prospect at 66-1. So that was a brief run through of all the different horses, and I think to surmise, the one horse of interest at the prices is Ancient Wisdom. Whether he's an actual selection or not, probably not quite, but he's definitely one that you can play around with in betting without markets and trading markets as the ground gets softer and people's eyes turn.
Forecast.
Yeah, exactly.
Ancient Wisdom, Jan Breughel, Ancient Wisdom, opening one of the big 2, stub a toe, and you could be there.
Yeah, that would be quite the payday. But unlikely, as the price would suggest. Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for watching. And do you want to say anything on the Oaks, which is on the same card, Daniel? Sorry, I haven't prepped you for this, but we've had the markets.
Yeah. We did our preview for this on the Anteposter basis quite a few days ago, didn't we? We got nothing much more to say now, other than when we were chatting, I don't think we saw it coming that Mini Hawk would be Ryan Moore's choice, did we?
No.
Out from the yard at that point, and I'm absolutely gobsmacked. They must know more than we do. I always thought Giselle was the classy one, and Whirl was the other classy one, and the Mini Hawk was a bit of a. But anyway, what do we know? No real further thoughts, but still, it's mad temperamental Giselle to be a cut above him. We'll see.
But just enjoy the bigger prices on Giselle and Whirl is my approach, and fingers crossed one of the 2 of them can get it done for us. So yeah, thank you very much. Cracking weekend's racing. I hope you'll enjoy it. And please do, as mentioned, check us out on Twitter so you can get first access to the articles where we put Gioto up at 16-1 3 places. So, yeah, on X, just search the Anteposter and you will find us, same logo. Thank you very much, everyone. And we look forward to speaking to you soon.
Have a good weekend all.